Welcome to Ram and Goat Astrology. I am Laura Lee.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm Helena, and we have a guest here, Kathy.
Yes.
Hello, Kathy. Introduce yourself. Tell us just a little bit about yourself. Not too much, because we want to dive into your chart.
Okay. Okay. Well, I live in Wisconsin. I am a mother of 3, grandmother of 2, have been retired for 2 years. Life has been really fun and interesting. I do have, and we can talk about it later if you want, but I do have a blog and I do have a podcast, and I just started a YouTube channel.
Excellent.
Because I'm very spirit driven. But so I think, is that good?
Yeah.
Is that enough
that's wonderful.
information for
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kathy
Can I
and
just
I
ask you because I don't know you. You and Laura, you know each other from before, but this podcast and the blog what's the theme? Is it also spirituality or what's?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
The name, well, my website is just kathyann.net, but the actual original name of it, which was too long for people to type in, is Understanding the Power Within. And then underneath, Simply and Easily. And basically what happens is I just sit in the morning quietly, and all of a sudden things will kind of show up. And if I record it, I'll put it out there. And generally when I record something, I just let it flow. I'll go back and get rid of the long pauses, or if I kind of stumble on a word, but everything that I do is quite pure. I don't change the words that are coming through me. Well, we'll get into that later because Laura Lee wanted me to talk about it.
Right. It does. It is interesting. So you and I met at a spirit wellness fair, and we started talking immediately. And then you started mentioning your near-death experiences you had, and I am absolutely fascinated with that. And we were chatting more and more, and I was like, we have to have you on the podcast. I want to dive in deeper. So
yeah, it's been pretty cool because but we'll get into that when you get into that.
Yeah. So I'm going to pull up
super intrigued.
I'm going to pull up your chart here. Helena, you got any questions off the top of your head, or?
No, just to confirm your birthday. It's 25th of October, 1959 at 7:39.
7:31. Yep, you got it all right on the paper.
Yep. August 21st, 1959. Perfect. Excellent.
And the odd reason that I know that, because I come from a really big family. I have 14 siblings, is because my mother actually had a baby spoon made with my birth date and time of birth on it. And my dad it actually fell into their charcoal fire when they were cooking on the grill, I guess, and they grabbed it out real quick. So it was all scorched, but spirit works very amazingly. That's how I know when I was born exactly.
That's fantastic.
Which is pretty cool, because otherwise with all those kids, she would just tell me August 21st.
So do you know the reason or the story behind a spoon specifically?
I don't.
Okay, I just learned this like last week, so I'd be happy to tell you. So in olden days, right, a couple hundred years ago, when you were invited to a party, you were required to bring a spoon along. Like they didn't have extra silverware for guests, and you were required to bring a spoon along and to be able to eat your meal. And so if you were born wealthy, you were given sets of spoons to have your own spoon, always to be able to eat and bring a spoon along. And so that's how you were born, with a silver spoon in your mouth if you were rich.
Okay.
And so if you were poor, you didn't have anything, right? You didn't have a silver spoon, or you didn't have a pot to pee in, a chamber pot, right?
Right.
These phrases we use. But I love that your mom gave you a spoon, like that tradition, interestingly.
Yeah, and I was the only one.
So out of 14 kids, you were the only one?
I'm the only one. I wonder if it was a gift given to her. She never told me, but I have the spoon, and it is, by the way, silver. So I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I guess. It didn't seem like that.
What is your birth order? What number are you in the lineup?
There are 5 older and 9 younger. So I was very good by the age of 7 at changing diapers.
Heck yeah.
babies and all that kind of thing. And when you grow up in a family like that, that's the sense of humor, because
you have to.
It either kills you or you just roll with it.
Well, I just want to pause right now because your chart has Jupiter in the third house. Your natal chart has the planet of gigantic expansion in the third house, which is typically the area of life that rules our siblings.
Okay.
So the biggest planet of expansion and obnoxiousness and good luck and just jovial energy is in the area of life of your siblings. So that's
okay.
That amuses me that you're one of 14 siblings. And it's in Scorpio. And to me, if there's 5 older and 9 younger, or 4 older, and that's a lot of, like, almost like lost in the pressure of sibling energy, right? There's a lot of pressure from both ends. And Scorpio is very much transformation through pressure, through intensity. Okay. Can you imagine the intensity, Helena, having that many siblings in your home, right? Like, that's a lot of transformation you went through with each birth your mom had. Right. You went through an intense, like, almost getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And through that energy is actually how you learned how to take care of yourself, how you learned self-care and nourishment, which is the planet Ceres, who's right next to Jupiter. So you've got Jupiter, the biggest planet, and then the planet of, I really need to take care of myself. I need to learn this. And you learned it through the pressure of the number of siblings you had.
Yeah, actually, as a kid, it was probably survival mode sometimes.
Absolutely. Yep. So, oh yeah. The pressure doesn't look like, "Ooh, this is fun." It looks like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, pretty much. Although I will say that I'm super grateful for what my childhood was, because it's definitely tempered me to who I am.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's interesting.
And that Jupiter is also in a conversation, like this thing about your life, having a lot of siblings and having that pressure is also having a conversation to a wound regarding your everyday life. We have Chiron in the 6th house. So it would have been, like some kind of wound, being maybe that middle child and having to try and, break through the noise barrier, perhaps.
Sure.
It's in Aquarius, so being seen for your authenticity, for your weirdness, for your uniqueness, right? You have this core wound around, like, I need to find my identity and my individuality within this sea of children.
That makes perfect sense, because finding myself or whatever, because definitely with that many kids, I'm sure other siblings felt the same way, but I felt invisible. Like, do you know I'm here? So that makes perfect sense.
Well, now let's chat about where your sun sign is for a moment, shall we? So you have a 27-degree Leo sun, and it is plunked in the middle of your 12th house, which is the area of life. If we look at the 12th house, it's like a map, and this map section is the section that's kind of foggy. It's nebulous. It's a little confusing. It's kind of in the subconscious realm. So you just said, can you even see me? Yes and no, sort of, ish. Like, you actually incarnated with an identity. Your sun sign is our identity and our willpower. Your identity through spirit, through fogginess, kind of in this nebulous realm. So you actually do have this, like, presence, this strong Leo presence, but it is kind of hidden behind a couple clouds. It is a little bit foggy, a little bit challenging to identify with, who am I? Right. And then, of course, it's across the chart, almost exactly 27 degrees sun, 25-degree Chiron, to this wound of self, of like, who am I on a daily basis? Who am I within spirituality? Who am I? There's a lot of who am I questions with you there, Miss Kathy. Do you feel that?
Well, I can believe that. I think I'm working through some of that, but I can definitely believe it. And a lot of the who am I, as things start to unfold for me, is, that I work through is, the humble, who am I? Who am I to do that? Wow. So that's kind of the who am I am at, or was at, and I'm working through at this moment, is to know the worth of what I'm doing, and that that's what I came here for.
Yes, ma'am. So, To know your worth. Ooh, that's the theme of your chart. When you've got an almost exact opposition between identity and core wound in authenticity and true self, stepping into your true self is really what Aquarius asks us to do. And this Chiron wound is asking you to do this every single day, every day, in the small acts that you do, whether it's having an altar where you clean your crystals and you pull a tarot card, or whether you pray on your rosary beads. I don't care what it is, but it's the acts you do every single day to really step into your full uniqueness. That's where you find the healing to that wound. And it's got to be spiritual weird shit. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's great.
Helena, what's jumping out at you?
Well, this just, whatever we look at, there's a connection to something else and something else and something else.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, now we've been talking about this T-square in your chart, which is the Jupiter, Chiron, Sun T-square. And, we started talking about your family and how you grew up. And then that just made me glance over to your fourth house. And the fourth house in our chart is where we see our family. It's like our safety. It's how we grew up,
our roots.
And our roots. And it's also how we sort of have a family, like your family, the family that you have created. And we have the planet of Saturn there. And Saturn is about maturing and getting some hard lessons. And I can see you growing up very fast with having Saturn here in Capricorn, a very hard worker in the fourth house, making you really have to mature and take a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, change those diapers, make a meal, take care of this kid. Honey, you got this. I got to go do this, right? Like really being the, I would call this like a little mom position. You were like a little mom.
Okay. Yeah. That would make sense.
Yeah.
That would
and of course, it's at 0 degree Capricorn. So you were very, very hardworking as a little mom. Exactly hard. But like if there was any sibling to rely on for like doing the responsibility, it was you. Like you were the one. She knew she could count on you. Mom knew she could count on you.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I would have to say thank you for that. Just knowing that, because as a kid, you don't really, do you know what I mean?
Right.
You're just a kid.
Absolutely.
Thinking, I want to go outside and play. I don't want to do this.
Exactly.
And that's, if we keep going with this, then to see what relationship Saturn is having, and talking about you as a child, I also want to look at your moon, because we live a lot through our moon when we're children, because we react to things, we feel things a lot, and we react, and we just want to go with what we're feeling. And your moon is having a little bit of a more difficult relationship to the Saturn position. So yeah, you would have to be the mature one and take responsibility, but all you wanted to do was be outside and play. Like you have your moon in Aries. Aries is all about like, I want to go and do that and action, and let's do this. So I can see how you would
be restricted from playing. Yeah.
Or
like you wanted to take a friend or a buddy or a sibling and go play, and mom was like, actually, I need you to sweep the floors first and run the dishes first, right? Like there you go. There was always like, I want to go play, and then and do this first. Right? There was a do the hard work, do the responsibility, Capricorn energy first, then you could go out and play. And
do the fun, fiery stuff.
Yeah.
And as a kid, it's not fun, but as an adult, I can see what it's done for me to teach me to buckle down and focus on what I want to get done.
Heck yeah. So very
mm-hmm.
much lean into our Saturn energy as we grow, and we can see how the maturity helps us. Whereas when we're younger,
right. Exactly.
That is easy.
Exactly.
But I wanna ask you about how about now? Because now you're grown up, you can choose to do whatever with your days. You're the boss of you.
Yep.
And you still have the moon in Aries, wanting to go, take action on things, like be the first one to go and explore that thing. Are you letting your moon sort of lead you a little bit more, being,
more playful,
being a grown up? And getting to decide?
I think I still have an even mix of grown up and play, where it's kind of like, okay, so I really want to do this, but I need to do this first, still comes into my mind.
Yep.
And sometimes I really have to focus and just say, no, I'm just going to take that walk, or I'm just going to take my camera out and take some pictures, or I'm going to just do this or that. I have to really stay on top of myself to do more what I want instead of what I feel I should do. I have
Remember
to
to play.
Round of applause for Kathy. Round of applause for Kathy. That is exactly the lesson. Thank you. Thank you for stepping into that. That's legit what you're supposed to be maturing into. Yes, I know the laundry needs to be done, and I want to go take a walk because it's winter and we don't get many nice days. I'm going to go take a walk and play outside first. The laundry will be there when I get back. Thanks, Mom. Right? It's very much like take Mom's energy and just set her down. Be like, Mom, I'm coming back. Thanks.
Right.
And I'm going to go play. Right? Instead of childhood where it was do the chore first, then go play, you get to say, no, I'm gonna go play.
But sometimes I don't always say I'll go play. You know, sometimes you feel a little bit of weight or pressure on your shoulders to get something done, and you let that weight or that pressure make your decision for you. And
yes, ma'am.
So I'm still working through that because I know that.
Thus is the karma of Saturn in Capricorn. That's exactly what you came here to heal. The planet of karmic healing, Saturn, is at 0° Capricorn. Like just baby, you just learning this. Brand new in this incarnation to learn how to really deal with this heavy responsibility shit that, yes, it does really control a lot of your life. Because look at, he's talking to Chiron, he's talking to Neptune, he's talking to the moon, he's talking to your sun, he's talking to Pluto, and he's talking over here to your North Node. This guy is having a lot of conversations. And when the planet of authority and discipline is having all of these conversations, it's like having a police officer standing in your doorway of your house, just standing there with his arms folded, just watching you.
That's funny.
You're not in trouble.
Know what Saturn, no, and Saturn is really good at making you feel guilty.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's true. That is something that I have been, I think I've been working my way through that one pretty good. The guilt thing doesn't really get me so much anymore.
Good.
And so I have a lot of conversations with people about it. So I can see how I had to work through the guilt part to be able to help people work through their guilt part.
Yes.
When having a conversation with a friend or family or whatever. And yeah.
And you know, Kathy, that because it's Saturn and we never get away from him. He's the one that like long-term life lessons, right? Life lessons. That's never going to go away for you, especially when it's Saturn in Capricorn. And it's in the 4th house of family. I always look at this as like our mom, really. This is Mom. So every time that guilt comes up, I want you to just take a moment, just thank your mother. Thank you, Mom. And not right now. Right?
I think I can do that.
Yeah, because it's not anything negative. It's just that's the energy. That's where it's coming from for you, right? Is the parent, the lineage, the roots, the origin of whether it's your religion, whether you were raised Catholic or whatever, or whether it was grandma and grandpa. There's just this like intensity from family that you should do this and this and this, and the should is the thing. You came here to be like, no thanks. I don't need your shoulds, right? It's not what I need. And your Aries moon is helping you to kind of burn through some of that. I love Aries because it's so good at being like, I don't need that bridge anymore. Let me light that shit on fire. Aries is great at burning bridges that they don't need. They'll keep the bridges they want. But if they're done with something or a behavior or someone, they're great at blowing shit up and walking away from it. I'm an Aries sun sign, so hello. So your moon, your emotional space, which is actually the representation of our mother in this lifetime, you're actually really good at like taking your emotions and letting them transform that karmic guilt and that karmic should, and like burn it and let it go. I don't need that anymore. That's not serving me. That's not healthy. No thanks.
Yeah, and I've actually thrown thank yous out there to my mother. When something's like, thank you, you know.
Good.
I learned something from that.
I love that. Now, your moon is in Aries, but it's in the 7th house. So this is the area of life where we talk about partnership, whether it is a business partner, a marriage partner, a sister bestie, but you are really emotionally connected to the close, intimate relationships in your life, your partnerships. And this is where you play the most. This is where you play the best, is one-on-one. So if you need a playtime or a play date, you just need a friend. Doesn't matter who, just somebody who's, who lights you up in that kind of childlike way. Do you have that in your life?
That makes sense. Well, my husband's a pretty good friend of mine, so that's always helps when it's right at home.
Absolutely.
My daughter, and I've got a woman that I'm working on a book with, and we meet, and it's just kind of like there's a scattering of them depending on, my friends are so different in where they're at in life that I just kind of like, okay, I need this today, so this is the friend that I want to talk to, type of thing.
Yep.
So
I like that it's different friends. Aries doesn't tend to stay with one particular thing. They change a lot. So it's very changeable. This friend fits my needs now. My fire is at this temperature. Ooh, I'm burning really hot. I need to go call Susie. She's going to be able to handle me, right? You have different friends that can handle your different intensity levels, right?
Yes, definitely.
I got you. I can handle you, Kathy. Bring it on. We should come play together. That'll be fun.
I think we would have a blast.
Yeah, for sure. So your moon is connected in a really lovely conversation to your mind. So Mercury is up here at 9 degrees in Leo, and your moon is 4 degrees Aries. So it's very, very lovely, easy conversation. It's called a trine. And when there's two planets having a trine conversation, there's just a flow. There's an ease of understanding. There's not usually any hiccups or, misinterpretations with the energies. So your mind and your heart are really lovely connected, and you are able to say what you feel, and you're able to understand what you feel. It's really great. I'm so proud of you for having this, because it probably has helped you process a lot of this Saturn in the 4th house Capricorn stuff.
I think so.
I think so, for sure. What do you interpret with that, Helena?
With the moon Mercury?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm just looking at all this amazing fire and thinking about your, because you have a lot of, we call it the big three, your sun, moon, and ascendant. And those three parts of your chart are the ones that are the most visible to you. And two of those you have in fire signs. So you have your sun in Leo, moon in Aries. But then the third one, so yeah, it's looking like, there's a lot of fire. Your mind, Mercury, is also fire and very like out there. But then I was just thinking also like, where does your Virgo come in? Because you have a lot of Virgo energy.
Yeah, you do.
You're Virgo rising. You have Venus on your rising. And then you have Mars and Vesta also there in Virgo.
And Pluto in Virgo too.
And Pluto as well. And Virgo is a very different energy to this like fun, fiery Leo, Aries. I mean, Virgo can also be fun, but Virgo is more about putting things in order, making sure something is in, making sure everything is where it's supposed to be, and controlling that everyone's got their food, everyone is eating at the time they should be eating at, like taking care of and making sure that the numbers are right and the hair is in the right place and all of those things. Like the details. Do you resonate with that? Do you see that part of you?
I believe I do. I do. I actually was a business owner for a long time, and the details were very, very important. And now that I'm retired, I'm just stepping into a couple of things that I felt were important to keep going. That would have, and I can tell you about it later, but just little things that were done in the past in the area. For example, like the spiritual wellness show. There was no one the people that were doing it are too busy to do it now. And so I'm like, well, why don't I just help out with that? And so right now, as you're talking about details, we're really getting into the details. I'm like, I need all the details. So yeah, it makes perfect sense, because I like to make sure that I am not going to be blindsided by a surprise. So I need to know everything.
Yes.
And also, let me say that Virgo is very, very health oriented because it's very much about the details. It's sort of like the doctor of the zodiac or like the nurse of the zodiac as well as the accountant.
Yeah.
So it loves taking care of others and making sure people are healthy, and health is a big part. Yeah, like being well, like on the inside and out, because it's a lot about the inside and health, but also about looking healthy and looking proper, and it being good and looking nice.
Right. Yeah.
And Venus on your rising sign, exactly 13 degrees and 13 degrees. This is the planet that rules our values and what we really care about. Not necessarily our emotions, but the things that we really hold as a value. And so for values to be how you show up, you're a very ethical person. This is ethics 101 is Kathy. Like you don't mess around with Kathy, because she is very like ethically driven as far as like taking care of yourself and the right and wrong way to do it. And it's very, very clear to you how things should be done and how you should show up. And it's very interesting to have Venus on your rising sign because it softens things too. It makes you a very considerate person. Venus makes you a very caring person, but in a very analytical, service-oriented way. So it's really an interesting combo. I really like it.
Thanks. And it's pretty much the nail on the head.
Also, friendships. With Venus being the planet of friendships and relationships, you're a great friend. Like if anybody needs somebody just to talk with, it doesn't matter about what subject, you are really a person who's just there for them. This makes you just always show up as a quality friend. I love that about you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're in my pocket now.
That I am. Yeah, and that everything is making perfect sense to me.
Good. Virgo is also an analytical energy that loves words. So I know when you and I met, we started off with the words and we just kept going with the words and talking. And you're also writing a book right now. So you're using those words and putting that into paper. So I love that. What's your book subject? You were telling us a little bit before we record.
Well, the book, I mean, everything I talk about and write about and all is always about self-worth. It's always about the unconditional love that is around us at all times, and how to notice it, how to really accept that it's there, because a lot of people don't necessarily believe that. So right now I'm in the first chapter of the book, and it's all about finding your joy. And it's all about right now we're getting into what can block you from it. And so joy and self-worth are very much hand in hand, because if you don't think you're worth it, you're not going to find your joy. So exactly. Do you know what I mean? So that's what it's about right now. And I thought I knew the name of the book. I thought I knew where it was going. And as I'm writing it, it's like, okay. And the last couple of days, I've really had to think about letting go of what I thought it would be, because I don't know what it's going to, honestly, I don't know what it's going to be anymore. All I do know is that when it's done, it will help those who feel like they aren't worth something, to feel their worthiness, and it will help people to understand that there's always this unconditional love. And it lives in them, and it's just waiting to light up.
Kathy, it's your chart. You're writing your chart with your sun sign in the house of unconditional love, right? The 12th house would be very Piscean energy, very unconditional, Jesus kind of love, right? Mother Teresa kind of love. And Leo is joy. That's what Leo is. It's very joyful. It's very courageous around joy and fun. And then it's opposite your self-worth planet. So of course you're going to have want people to step into their worth to find joy, which your identity is in this kind of nebulous, secretive area. So you're actually stepping into your chart, finding your own identity through joy, through this book. Oh my gosh,
Right.
I love that.
It's a lot of
Is
fun.
this the first book you're writing?
Yes. I've been writing in notebooks for years, but this is the first thing I'm trying to actually get organized.
Okay.
And so that's where I have to really start to focus better, because I need to stay on task with what the book is about and not be like my notebooks where every day it's something different. So what I've learned to do is to actually take a notebook for the every day something is different and get it out of my head and then go back to the book.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Your mind, Mercury, I think is important to note, is in a fire sign. And it's in the 11th area of life, which is ruled by Aquarius themes, which is an air energy. So we've got fire and air. And whenever you combine fire and air, you get a lot of activity, a lot of mental stimulation, almost too much, right? This definitely could look like too muchness. And especially when it's connected in a lovely energy to your moon in a fire sign, where, again, lots of energy, lots of ideas, lots of, oh, my heart wants to do this. Oh, my mind. Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, I just met with Laura and talked with Helena. Now I got this. Girl, your mind just.
That's right.
You're fast.
It can be a challenge.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's get back to this. And so sometimes when I say, let's get back to this, it doesn't leave that. And then I just put the book down because okay. I'm a little too, what would you say, woohoo?
Well, yeah.
A little too out there.
All over the place is what this kind of looks like, right? It's Leo energy with Aquarian energy, which is, first of all, it's intense. Those are intense energies. So your mind gets so intense, and then it's fueled by your heart, which is in Aries. So you just basically walk around with like a blowtorch for your heart, lighten everybody up, lighten all your ideas up. And then we have, your mind is talking to one other planet, and it's having a square energy to Neptune. Neptune is our planet of artistry, creativity, flow, the flow state. And writing is creative flow state. So in order for you to deal with this square, which squares are, they're tough. And the reason they're tough is because we have to work on them. It's like going to the gym to build muscle. You don't just go once and suddenly you're strong. You have to work through the hardship and the I don't wannas and the tears and the everything. And you have to pump the iron to build the muscles. So you essentially are working on getting your mind into this spiritual flow state, but it's work for you. It's a workout to do it. It's not an easy access. It's definitely like difficult. I have to first get my ideas out of my head into this. Then I have to like take a deep breath and start focusing on this. Then I got to take some coffee and it's a process.
Yeah. It is. I mean, when I sit down, the words come out quite easily once I get myself settled. But yeah, it can be a process at times because there's just so much going on in my brain. My husband laughs at me all the time because I'll just say something out of the blue. I've learned to first tell him where the idea came from before I say what's in my head. Just so you know, this is why I'm saying this.
Because your ideas
a disclaimer
are random.
Yeah, and he'll be like, I did the random thing this morning to him, and it's like, oops, I forgot to preempt it with where it was coming from. He's like, what are you talking about? It's like, oh yeah, I didn't tell you, did I?
Yeah.
But yeah, I do that often. So he's a pretty good sounding board because he's got a good sense of humor. Good. And with everything I'm doing, super supportive. So a lot of times saying, I don't know if I get it, but I understand that you need to do it. So that's pretty cool.
You know, that's all we can ask. Nice. They don't have to get it, but the fact that they understand us and are supportive of the weirdness is all we need.
And I actually think that he helps me because when you have somebody that close that doesn't necessarily know if they believe everything you're saying or not, it helps if you can say it to them and leave out the doubt of what your words are.
Yeah.
It's easier to talk to strangers about it too. It's easier just to put yourself out there more because I think the scariest thing sometimes is to tell the people you know what's in your head. I can go talk to a total stranger and they're all happy and oh my gosh, I was meant to see you today. And, so telling my husband, it was a process to help him or to, let him understand that what's going on and because I've changed, and he even says that I'm a different person than I was before my near-death incident.
Well, you should be, frankly, a different person.
Yeah. But for the let's call it the survivor, the person who actually went through everything, they want it back to the way it was sometimes. And so I feel like he's really learned to just accept the change that has happened, and he's really good with that, actually.
I love that.
And I thought, what a journey he has too. This is just because what happened to me didn't happen to me, it happened to a lot of people.
Yes.
So
and
do you want to tell us?
Yeah, tell us, but it is going to happen to more people. It's going to happen to more people because your heart needs to complete the sentence to humanity, right? Your mind is in the area of life of humanity. You have to tell your story. It's really important.
And then that's where sometimes, because it feels like I'm here for something bigger than I can imagine, or bigger than and I know it's bigger than I am, but that's where it can be intimidating, because that's where the who am I comes in and steps into it, because it feels like it's going to be something very substantial. So then you go back to the humble beginnings of a kid in a family with 14 siblings and think, why me? There were a bunch of other ones, and I've got zillions of cousins, and I've got all of these people. We have a Thanksgiving in my immediate family. If they all show up, gets to be about 100 people. And that's all immediate because of nieces, nephews, and their wives, and then their kids, so it adds. So
it adds up fast.
It does. So it goes back to when I start thinking about that in that form, it can be intimidating. So I just have to take it. It's just one page in one book and nothing more. Or I'm just going to go talk at this wellness fair, and there's probably only going to be 10 or 15 people listening. And so it's just these little baby steps.
I love that.
But what's interesting is every time I've had 3 people, and I've had 30 people come and listen to what I have to say. And I always seem to, tears flow from certain people that it really hits in their heart on what I'm talking about. And I honestly believe that when I'm up there talking, I'm just saying the words I know, but I think that spirit comes through and touches their heart and has them, their attention is drawn to the words they need. And so I never worry about how many people are there or how many, whatever, because I just know, just like with this book, I know whoever needs it will find it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily about the numbers, it's about the connections. So when it comes back to, this is probably going to be bigger than these little connections I'm making right now, and they're no connections actually little, is it? It can play in the brain a little bit. So yeah. So do you want to finish the chart before I tell you what happened to me, or
I just want to say something about what you just said, because I've been looking at do you know what the MC is?
I do not.
No. So the MC pretty much shows you what we say now in modern times is career, but careers, I like to say more like how you share your gift with the world. And the point of how you share your gift with the world has a sextile, which means a really flowy connection to Mercury. So Mercury is about communication.
Okay.
And Leo is about like, if you have planet of communication in Leo and in the 11th house, this is you speaking to a lot of people. And this has this amazing connection to you, how you're supposed to share your gift with the world, which is your purpose. Also in the sign of Gemini, which is also about communicating,
talking,
and talking and sharing. So this is just amazing. I think that you are doing this. Standing up somewhere and just talking to people, and like you said, you don't really know. You're just saying the words that you know. I think that's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like this is it. You're Mercury in the 11th house in a sextile to your MC.
Yeah.
And right now, you also have Jupiter, the planet of abundance, it's been going a little bit back and forth over this point. And it's going to be in the house of your career and how you shared your gift with the world for almost
a while.
Almost another year.
Yeah. So he's retrograding right now. He's going to retrograde back to the start of your MC, right around 10 degrees there.
Okay.
And then he'll go back through your career or purpose house. So Jupiter is really expanding your contribution to society right now, your work, your purpose, what you're giving to groups, right? This is exactly where you should be expanding. And I love that it's Gemini because it's two people. There was old Kathy, and now there's new Kathy.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of times, like I'm living between the two worlds more so than I know everybody kind of is, but it feels like I live between them, 1 foot in there, 1 foot here, 24/7. It doesn't really stop. And I get a kick out of your MC because I definitely got the message when you said MC. What is an MC? It's somebody who gets out and talks to people and directs.
Yeah, true.
It's like, okay, when you said
That's true.
my whole body just kind of lit up, like, there you have it. So I actually think that more than the book right now, my main thing is going to be MCing, getting out there and actually talking to people. So I need to actually start finding places and seeing who wants what, because I think I think the book and me speaking are hand in hand, really tight. And one's going to create the other and one's going to create the other. They're just kind of so intertwined, I can't separate them.
That's what Gemini is.
Them both.
That's what Gemini is. Think of Gemini as the yin yang. Can you separate the black from the white? No. I mean, like, you can put it in a best friend's necklace. Oh, right. But they have to go together. And you can't get mad that the black is the black and the white is the white. It's the nature of the duality. And you have to zoom out and see the yin yang for the whole picture that it is.
Right.
So that's what you're working on doing, is really growing your awareness and your understanding. Jupiter is the planet that really rules our higher learning, right? Our college energy or our continuing education energy. So right now you're really expanding and growing this awareness and knowledge on higher subject matters, philosophical things, spiritual things, religious things. So it's very much growth in a whole multitude of ways. But for you, it's integrating both worlds, both realms, both things that you've experienced. So yes, tell us about these near-death experiences, Kathy. I want to, first of all, I have to tell people who aren't watching, she has Pluto at 3 degrees in the 12th house. Okay, so that's just something to take note of. And then she has Uranus at 17 degrees Leo in the 12th house. So she has the planet of sudden change and chaos in the 12th house of spiritual things, right? And then she's got Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, in the 12th house, as well as her identity or sun sign. So these are the 3 planets in the 12th house. Just want to put that out there. All right. So tell us, Kathy, what happened?
Okay. So in 2016, my husband and I had gotten home from a family gathering. It was around 11:30 at night, probably maybe right around there, maybe closer to midnight. And we had 2 dogs, 2 English setters. They're quite big, 100 pounds apiece. And their names are George and Larry. And George and Larry needed to go outside and run some energy off because we had left our family gathering. We get together instead of exchanging gifts because there's so many of us. And after a while, you can't really buy much for $25.
Right.
So we get together once a year at a restaurant about an hour from my house for dinner and then just visiting. So we got home from this, and my husband was, we let the dogs out, and I had taken some pictures, and the pictures I took, he said I was laughing. I don't remember this part of it. I'm sitting in my chair. We've got a chair here and a chair here with an end table in the middle, and I'm sitting on the right. And he said, I was laughing about the blackmail I could do to my sisters, because yes, we do have great relationships. And he said, all of a sudden you were quiet. And his running line is hilarious. He's like, I knew something was wrong when she stopped talking. So he looked over and he said, I had set my camera down, like I knew something was happening. And I was tilted sideways in the chair and just foaming at the mouth. So I was dead. So he called 911, and they told him to put me on the floor and to start CPR. And here's a little interesting plug for CPR for people. We did talk to them later, and that's a whole nother story, but the 911 operator said that the hardest thing for him to get people to do is to start CPR because they're afraid they're going to hurt somebody. And just so you know, if you don't hurt them, they will die. Right. So they will stay dead.
Good point.
Yes. So it doesn't matter if you crack a rib or whatever, but that's a whole, so he called 911. The guy told him to put me on the floor and, start CPR. And so he did. And he did it for over 12 minutes straight. So if you're familiar with CPR or with the nursing community and all, I guess they switch off once every 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
basically the length of a song. Yeah.
Yep. Staying alive. So he was on with 911, and they were talking him through all of this stuff. And the ambulance came. So of course, it's a freezing rain night. And it took them what should have taken 5 minutes. It took them over 12 minutes to get to our house. And we know this because down the road, we were featured at a seminar, and I actually gave them permission to use the 911 tape. And that's how I know when he was at 12 minutes and some odd seconds, when he told the guy on the phone, they just pulled in. And so they hung up. So it's a possibility that I was gone for over 13 minutes, but we don't really know for sure.
Wow.
So one of the main EMTs said he was concerned all the way over because that's such a long time to be doing CPR on someone. But I do think that some major angels were in that room helping him, because he's part of the story that the medical community appreciates, but nobody else quite gets. And because what he was doing was he actually was doing superhuman strength on me. You can't go that long and not be tired. But when the EMT showed up, they showed up at the door, and he was still going. And their first concern was to take over for him so that he could take a break.
Yeah.
And the EMT guys were saying it was super interesting because my dogs, George and Larry, who I was really connected with, were like Lassie, running back and forth because they were still outside, bumping them on the hand, like hurry up, and then running to my front door and running back and forth, trying to get them to hurry up to come into the house, which was amazing. And so they came in, and I guess it took them a couple of times to bring my heartbeat back. But what they said when it came back, it was like nothing happened. My heart, my pulse, everything was just normal again, but I didn't wake up. So they rushed me to, as fast as you can on ice. They brought me to the local hospital, and the local hospital, I don't know, they were still I guess they handbagged me for oxygen all the way until I got to the hospital that specialized in heart care. And so they got me to one hospital, and they couldn't fight for life me because of the freezing rain. So they had to drive me, took an hour to get to the hospital in Appleton. So the cardiologists out there were super concerned with the amount of time that was going by and everything that was happening. So they did what is standard, and they iced me down for 36 or 48 hours to try to slow the brain down. Wow. Because generally what happens is when you get iffy, when you get to 8 minutes, you've probably lost function in your, and by my girlfriend's, the time they get to 12 minutes, or 10 minutes, I told my husband, just stop, there's nothing left to save. So that so I'm in the hospital and they've got me iced down. And when they were starting to bring me out of it, my husband said they were amazed because I was motioning for a pencil and a paper. I was writing questions down, and they couldn't believe that I could
use your limbs.
Yeah. Yeah. You use anything. When after the incident was done and we went to see a doctor in town just for like a local quick little check thing, he was amazed. He actually said, I have to take a minute here because I expected to see you coming in a wheelchair. I expected you to have to learn how to walk, to talk, to eat, to do everything again. He expected that I would be brain dead. Wow.
And you just weren't. Like, you just weren't. No, there was just no explanation.
Just right now, I haven't changed. Well, I've gotten a little smartier in the pants, but other than that, I woke up and it's like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? What's going on? So I always say that my family is the one that actually went through the incident because I was out. And when I woke up, I was just,
So would you say it was almost as if you had just passed out, but not like...
Yeah, it felt like
you fell asleep and you woke up, like a blink.
Pretty much.
So what happened with, like, what caused the death? Was it a heart attack? Was it like, what was the reason behind it?
Well, so I'll finish telling you what I saw when I was there, and then we'll go into that. So when I was there, I actually saw my daughter had a child who died at birth. Once she gave birth, he never took a breath. And that happened in November of 2010. And now we're in January of 2016. I woke up on Groundhog's Day, by the way, which is great. I kept waking up. Well, when they were bringing me out, I kept waking up. It is either 212, but I think 222, 222 on 222 or 222, whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah. 222 on 22, something like that. That's my wake up time. Anyway, I did see my grandson standing on a beach, and he was, I can remember thinking, he looked like he was 6 and he should have been 5. I thought to myself, and then he just asked me what I was doing there and told me that it wasn't my time and I needed to go back. So that was pretty cool because, I got to see him. So what a blessing that is.
Yeah.
Own right. So what happened was the doctors then put a defibrillator into my chest, in case it happened, because they had no idea what happened. My cardiologist put it well. He said, how do you explain how you said I was all about health, how a healthy 56-year-old woman just drops dead?
Just dies.
What happens with that?
Yeah.
So, but they put a defibrillator in so that I was in the hospital for like 10 days because I choked on a potato chip because I must have been eating a potato chip, and so I had pneumonia in my lungs. So they couldn't put the So they couldn't put the defib in until the pneumonia was gone. So they had to wait 10 days, and they didn't want me going home because what if it happened again? I probably wouldn't be as lucky the second time.
Right.
But they put the defib in, and in September of that year, it happened again. But the defib brought me back. So I didn't realize what that actually meant until, basically what they're telling me with the questions they're asking me is that I had been officially dead again. So everything stopped and all of that. And that actually has happened now as of November to me 7 times. And I'm not sure why that keeps happening to me, because I am focused on a healthy heart and all of that. And yet that happened again. It happened in June and then in November of this year. So I really got double whammied because every time it happens, I can't drive for 90 days.
Right.
So
which makes sense. We
But
don't want you dying while you're behind the wheel.
No, right. But it's interesting because it had 2 times that it happened, I was sitting, so I was safe. And the other times I was sleeping. So I never even know what happens until I get the phone call. So like the first time it happened was when I was sitting. The third time it happened, I was at my son's house. I was sitting out, my husband and I were out in the morning having a cup of coffee, and he said, all of a sudden I just went, again. And he's like, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. Do I call the ambulance? What do I do? And within 15 seconds, I went, I'm good. Because I was back. And he's like, I didn't know what to do. And he's like, so do we go to the emergency room? I'm like, I feel fine. So let's just wait. They'll give me a call on Monday and tell me I can't drive again. But he drove to Milwaukee anyway, so I wasn't driving it. I've gotten so used to not driving that. I'll take short trips, but I'm very conscious of what happens to me. So I don't really do the highways and things so much. But what they discovered, back to your question from like an hour ago that you asked me, they discovered that my heart flies at over 450 beats a minute. So it just goes whoomph. And when it goes whoomph,
I didn't think that was possible.
They didn't either. And so it can't do anything. So what the defib does is it actually feels this and it literally shocks you. And I guess if you feel the shock, it feels like a horse kicked you in the chest. So how lucky am I?
Yeah.
Because I've never felt it.
No.
But it brings the heart back into rhythm again, and it brings me back to life again. So it's super, super interesting.
That is just fascinating. So many questions come to my mind, right?
Well, me too. It's like, what's going on here? Am I causing this? Do I like the drama of it? Or are they calling me back and filling me up with it? What's going on here? I don't know.
Are you getting like a level up each time it happens, like a spiritual opening and connection each time? Like, it'd be nice if this would come with like some directions or something.
I think that, well, from the first time. So before it happened the first time, I was writing I had a little purple book. I could grab it, but then I'd be out of your camera. But I had this little purple book, and it was, can you see me? Where's about this thick. Can you see that?
Okay. Like a half inch?
Yeah, half inch to inch thick. And I was writing in that probably from 2010 until 2016. I would just read these books that inspired me. And my spiritual journey's been interesting because I told them to take a hike many times. But
you told Spirit to take a hike?
Yeah.
How'd that work for you?
Well, they're still here. I don't think they care what I have to say. I mean, they do.
I have not found that they've listened to me when I've told them to take a hike. So
right. They're like, well, you can just get over your little pouty thing today. We'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah. They usually let me have my tantrum and then come back.
But once that first incident happened, I've got notebooks full of stuff now. So it took me 6 years to get a little purple book halfway through. And then after that, it just flew. So can I just leave you for 1 second?
Yeah, that's
I got to close the door.
So fascinating.
Very. So can I ask, the first time this happened, what else happened with you? So you got to a place where you met your grandson.
Yes.
And do you remember how that happened?
I was just there. He was on a beach, white sandy beach with a beautiful lake without horizon to it behind it. And it was just blue skies. It was just, so I don't really, all of a sudden I was there and then I was gone.
What is his name? What is his name? Your grandson's name?
Danny Paul.
Danny.
Yeah.
And have you had similar experiences the other times that you have died?
No, nothing. So that's where my curiosity goes, because we all know we're somewhere at all times, right? We're always somewhere.
Right.
And I would love to know where I was every time it happened, but yet I think that's part of the journey of what I have, is to not know it so that I can focus here, because possibly if I remember too much of that, I will want to be there.
Right. Yes. Well, you have Neptune in the second house, and Neptune is I always call it like our phone line to spirit, right? It's like our actual connection. Okay. Well, the second house is what we build the foundation of our life upon. It's really like that core energy of finances, relationships, how, your housing, your actual housing. So Neptune in your second house is you have to build your 3D life in this earth realm on the basis of spiritual stuff. Like, it's really important for you, but you can't leave this life and go when you're not ready. Like, nope, not yet. Stay there. You still have more stuff. Right. So you do have this energy of like, I'd rather be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to finish your stuff here.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's not like I want to leave my family and all, but when people pass now, there's just this feeling of something I'm missing. It's very interesting. And it's, like I said, it's like, I want to be here, but I feel like, and it's when people I know pass, or even if I'm watching a TV like Sunday morning and they show the people who passed away for the week or whatever.
Yep.
I feel like there's something missing for me. And it's just super interesting. But I will say what's happened since I've been back is like the words from spirit flow easier and easier. And I think that they mingle into my day without me even realizing it a lot of times, because I'm talking to somebody and it just, whatever they needed, I can't tell you how many. I mean, I'm helping somebody in a retail shop. I went in and said, let me just help you out for Christmas. I'm only going to be helping them out like 3 or 4 days this month. But I happened to run into a woman as a customer, and she decided to tell me about her life, just out of the blue. She starts telling me that she has metastatic breast cancer, and the doctors gave her so much time to live. And the words out of my mouth were immediately, I hate when people tell you how long you have left. They don't know what lives in your mind, and they don't know. So,
and they don't know the energetic healing potential of people. They don't understand the metaphysical stuff. Like, the time limit that doctors give drives me nuts.
Yeah. So I told her, I told her just a little bit about me. And I said, I'm like, the odds of me being able to function the way I am, the percentage is just super, super minute.
Right.
And I told her, I said, so I'm told that I'm a walking miracle. And miracles happen every day. So why can't you be a miracle? That's your choice.
Everywhere. Yes. I love that.
You choose to be the miracle, and you choose to show them. When you go in, your mindset can be, I'm going to show you you're wrong. And I'm going to be that person that you tell everybody about. Because when you do find that miracle, and the doctors do find that miracle, like the day I left the hospital, the entire emergency room crew that worked with me came up and cried in my room. They were all crying. They were so happy, and I didn't know what to think. And it's like, they don't get many wins.
No.
So doctors actually want the wins. So give your mind the set that you're his win. You're going to make him proud.
Girl, spoken like a true Venus on her rising sign in Virgo. Look at you valuing those ethics, right? You don't find that ethical when a doctor tells somebody how much time they have left. That's not
who I am. But it's okay. I mean, but that's what they know, and that's what their job is. So I can understand why they do that. I'm not taking anything away from what the doctors are saying.
No,
it's just miracles happen every day.
They do.
Decide you're going to be one. And surprise the living life out of them that there you are, there you are.
This is an interesting time for you right now, Kathy, because you're entering your progressed moon. This is not the moon in the sky. It's a growth period in our life, an emotional time frame we go through to really expand this emotional maturity. And your progressed moon is hanging out at 12 degrees Leo, and it just entered your 12th house. So it's going to be going through your 12th house for another probably 2+ years, 2.5 years. And as it kind of progresses through your 12th house, you're really going to be very focused on this whole concept that you've been talking about. Compassion, love, be the miracle. Miracles happen every day. Spiritual, healing. Like, I mean, you name it. Everything you've been talking about is exactly the focus of your life right now. Like, probably a month or maybe 2 months ago is when it just entered into the 12th house. And now you're really going to be embodying this avenue, this 12th house area of life, which is really tapping into the flow, the artistry, the healing, the spirituality. And of course, you have your planet of authenticity and rebelliousness and sudden change. And Uranus is hanging out right there. So that's going to be activated. And then your identity is going to be activated. And then your planet of intense, deep transformation is going to be activated during this time frame. So I think this is a really big maturity in your understanding of all of the things you went through. I think it's coming right now, where this, like, you've had the experience and then you have the understanding, and now we're kind of putting them together and merging them to make sense in our 3-dimensional world. Does that make sense, Helena?
Yes, I was looking at that progressed moon as well and thinking about, because everything we're talking about here is very 12th housey. I mean, that's the 12th house is the last what's it called? Like the last part of our life. It's time when you let go and you're more part of the spirit world, the unseen world, than you are of this physical world.
Yeah.
And so much of your life is evolving these themes and around these the focus. And I was thinking also, just to sidetrack a little bit back to what you were saying before, when you were asking a little bit about why this is happening to you and you're not really understanding if they're calling you back or something. I see it more as your focus in this life, because your sun is the focus, and the sun is in the 12th house. So the sun is shining all over the unseen world. What happens after you die? Like everything that you can, like spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call it. Also past lives, generations before you. So I think that there's just a really big focus for you in your life to learn about these themes.
Yeah.
And now you're really learning about it because it's really happening to you. And the sun is also your vitality. So it's interesting that your vitality is sort of sometimes being thrown back into spirit world. Have you ever done like a past life regression or a hypnosis or something that brings you more into the spirit of you or out of your physical body?
That was my question too.
I had done a hypnosis probably in 2018, and what keeps coming back to me, I've talked to different people and all, and what keeps coming back is that it's being a bit cloaked from me right now, because that's the way I wanted it to be, so that I could work through whatever it is I want to work through here. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's
in
like
2018, I don't feel like you were ready for this information. But now that the progressed moon has moved into this area of life, your faculties are available to it now, right? Like you're at a point where you can take in the information without it being discombobulating to you, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
because in 2018, the planet Uranus had just entered Taurus, and Uranus is the planet that really rules our nervous system. And this would have been right in the middle of your 8th house, which is really intense, really, really deep, very transformative energies. Probably when you had your first near-death experience, I bet, so Uranus would have been in Aries, probably just entering your 8th house of death and rebirth and renewal. So that would make actually a lot of sense. But you are now, Uranus is hanging out in the middle of the 9th house, which is learning more, understanding things deeper, and getting higher education, right? Really getting into the more philosophical things. So I feel like it was a timing thing for you. So if you were to take on hypnosis now, you'd probably get a lot more clarity, a lot more answers, especially as your progressed moon moves over your nervous system and planet of rebelliousness. Maybe even like probably, let's say, a year and a half from now, when the progressed moon comes on your sun sign, you'll probably get a lot more clarity around what the heck is going on and what this is all happening for. Right.
What the reasoning is on it. Yeah. And well, the interesting thing now, because it's been in January, it'll be 9 years. Is that my need to know has really tempered down. And I'm more focused, and I'm sure that's why it's happening this way, because I am more focused on here than worrying about what happened there. But when you come back, and when I well, maybe you don't know because you didn't do it, but when I come back, especially when it happened again, right, that same year in September, and then it was like a year and a half until it happened again. So it's very erratic. There's no pattern to when it's going to happen.
You have the planet of chaos and erratic in the 12th house. Yes, of course it's erratic.
I suppose. So every time it happens, I actually have less questions, and it's more like, okay, so let's roll. Yeah. So
I love that. Well, we have a few minutes left, Kathy. I want to show you one quick chart here. This is your, it's called your solar return chart. So this is the chart that kind of gives you your assignment for the year. So this happened this year. It happened August 20th at 12, right after midnight, actually. So what happens is when the sun comes back around to the natal placement, 27 degrees and 42 minutes, we take a new picture of the sky. And then that's your curriculum for the year. It's like it's like the universe is like, here's your assignments. Now do this work and you'll graduate and go to the next level, right? So this year, if you look, the planet of chaos is still in your 12th house. So it's definitely very activated in the like crazy chaotic changes that happen in all of this realm. But look at Jupiter and Mars. We have the biggest planet of expansion at 17 degrees Gemini and Mars at 20 degrees Gemini. And your rising sign is 21 degrees Gemini. So your assignment this year is really to kind of go big and take action on giving words to what happened to you. That's the assignment. And you just told us the book you're writing. You told us what you're doing. You're talking about it on the podcast. Like, yay, you. You're doing your assignment. Good job.
Thank you. I just need to find more places, I think, to speak.
Yeah.
So I'll start looking out for that because I don't see a lot of it. I'm thinking I'm going to be talking to like Chamber of Commerce's. And
Kathy, you going to come to my house and we have all kinds of events we're putting on at our farm here. So don't worry, I got you.
Okay. You let me know when.
We'll hook you up.
I don't think you're gonna have trouble finding that. You're gonna have your rising is in Gemini. Yep. Gemini is the communicator of the zodiac, and also then looking back to where your MC, where that work and the gift to the world is going to be for this coming year. It's in Aquarius. And so you're going to be sharing your gift in a unique way, and maybe more like, I don't know, are you you're doing it online as well? So online is a big part of this.
Yes.
Yeah. And you have your moon in the 10th house, which is also how you share your gift for the world, and that's your emotions. So you're going to be very emotionally tied to this project that you're doing.
Driven. Yeah. Emotionally driven. And take a note here of your 11th house. This is community, and this is online community or in-person community. Saturn's the first planet there. So this is almost like, the principal or the sheriff standing in the doorway of your house of community. It's not a bad thing for the sheriff to be standing there. It just makes people be a little bit more reserved. And maybe it makes things take a little longer. So your community is growing and changing this year with Pisces and Aries. These are very changeable energies. And with Saturn right there, you are supposed to be growing your community, but it's going to take time to grow it. It's going to take focused effort and discipline on a daily basis. Like work it into your routine that every Tuesday you have a meeting, or every Friday you go see this person, right? You work it into your routine and you keep growing your community. one person at a time. You already told us you're doing that. I talked to this person and then I talked to this person. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I have this in the last few months. I've had this need to make sure that anything that I've been involved with that caused people to gather. Mm-hmm. I feel like if it's going to fall apart, I need to step in and take it over so that people keep gathering.
That's such a Saturn mature thing to do in the 11th house. Good job. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have, your chart is actually very similar to my natal chart. I have this Gemini rising and Aquarius MC, and it really is a matter of just talking to everybody everywhere you go. The grocery store when you're buying mangoes, and talk to the lady and be like, oh, these mangoes are great, aren't they? And then you just start a conversation and suddenly you're now going to be speaking at her daughter's wedding or something, right? It's weird shit like that. I'm not kidding. This is like my life every day. I went out to the local community for Saturday's, Small Business Saturday, and I was just taking my daughter around, and every single store we went into, I left with an appointment in my book or a this or that or a name, and my daughter looks at me and she goes, how do you do that? And I was like, I just talk. I just say, hey. Yeah. How's it going? That's literally your job this year, is to say hey, and then be brave and bold with Mars and Jupiter. Be brave and bold with taking action on the thing you say, because Gemini is saying the thing, and it's got to be weird, spiritual shit that you say. Like, it has to be.
Okay.
So your assignment this year until your birthday is to keep going big and talking to people everywhere, at the gas station, at the car wash, anywhere you are. You just open your little mouth and start talking about weird shit.
Okay. And actually, as far as online, I just contacted a couple people. It's like, hey, when are we going to start? When are we going to start our little YouTube thing? I feel like if I'm doing YouTube, if I am talking to people, like, I'll probably contact you guys. Yeah. But if I'm talking to people, it's more entertaining having two people than having one person. Yeah. Because it's more of a conversation than sometimes it feels like, otherwise it turns into, maybe preaching is a tough word, but
it can feel preachy or teachy. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Where when you're getting other opinions, because this other person's opinion might ring true to whoever's watching more than mine. Yeah. So that variety, I think, is very important.
It makes sense with your moon in the 7th house and Mercury in the 11th house. It makes sense totally for you to do that.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. So you take your natal chart and you use your natal placements to do your yearly assignment. This isn't you. It's just the energy you're going to be kind of experiencing for the year, and you get to work with it. This is your outfit for the year. So this year you show up with your networking outfit. It's very, very chatty networking, and it's very changeable. Some days you're going to very much want to go out and meet people. Some days you're going to be like, oh, hell no, I'm staying in my jammies in my bed today. I'm not doing it. So it's Gemini twins. One day it's this face and you're like, hello. And the next day you're like,
nope. Get away from me.
Exactly. I do want to point out that Venus, your planet of relationships and money, is in the 5th area of life, which is where we look to for creativity and hobbies and fun. So make sure that when you are hanging with friends and when you're in these relationships, that there's a playful creativeness. Maybe you bring along, so I'm seeing you bring along like a box. They're showing me this, but I know this is like a representation. So I have a box filled with crayons and like 50 coloring books in my house that I just carry around when my kids are bored. And I'm like, here's some crayons, right? I see you carrying around like arts and crafts or something to do when you're in a small group. Maybe you like, let's color popsicle sticks today, or just something crafty or creative that the group can get involved in, because when we are in that creative flow state, Spirit likes to talk to us then, because we're not usually judging. We're not usually following rules. I mean, sometimes, but there's usually a flow and we're open. So I can see you very much being the leader. Saturn's up here. So being the leader and the mature person with creating an energy of hobbies and creation. Like, let's create something. Let's make some ornaments today, ladies. Let's draw something, I don't care what, but very arts and crafty this year.
That's interesting, because I do not have talent in that, but I have been having.
But you don't have to have talent. You just have to bring the stuff, be organized, and bring the stuff along.
My brain has been in the last couple of weeks because I mean, I saw it on my timeline, but it's been like, should I paint?
Yes, you should.
So yeah, this is my yes.
Yes, you should. Yes. Painting would be lovely. Saturn is in the sign of, I always say Pisces is the sign of painting. I really do. But Saturn's up here in the sign of painting. Your moon is up here in the sign of painting. And when Saturn is talking to Venus, this always tells me you get to be the leader and the mature one when it comes to relationships and friendships this year. You're the like, take the responsibility, take the reins kind of person. That's the assignment this year. Don't wait for someone else.
Yeah, and that seems to already be working its way out in the things that have been happening. That's definitely spot on. It's 100% spot on.
I love astrology. It's my favorite. Well, Kathy, this has been so much fun. Oh my God, I feel like we could talk to you for hours and hours and hours.
Thanks.
You have such an interesting story and chart. We so appreciate you being on with us. How can people get a hold of you or find you or in the social media realm or your website? Tell us that again.
If you just go to Kathyann, KATHYANN.net, everything is there. You can link out. I don't have the YouTube channel linked there yet because I'm still I'm pushing my podcasts out to YouTube right now. I probably have 40 or 50 podcasts out there. And then I'm going to start with more YouTube with actual videos with guests and things like that, kind of like what you're doing. And I just keep going. So it's just Kathyann.net. I put all the links, Facebook, whatever, it's all out there.
Wonderful.
And that way it's easy because understanding the power within was just too long.
Yeah.
Too many chances for typos.
Right. So I like that. Kathyann.net. Wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate that you guys had me on today. It was super nice. I love your blue in your hair, by the way.
Thank you. I'm letting my whites grow out, and then I'm finding it's very fun to just play with colors. So that's
and I appreciate, Helena, that you came right from work to do this. That's amazing. Thank you, because I'm sure you had a long day already.
Thank you for acknowledging that. My inner Capricorn is really struggling with a compliment about work, but thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. Wonderful. When I get my podcast up a little more, I'll let you two know, and maybe we can go that way. And the conversation with you two is fun too. It's a lot of fun. So cool.
Thank you, Kathy. And
thanks
for tuning in, everybody. Take care.
Have a lovely day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Ram and Goat Astrology. You can support the show by buying us a coffee or a tea. Link in the show notes. Your financial support means the world to us. Join us next time.